right, welcome everyone. We'll call to order the Danville Board of Education regular meeting on Monday, April 23rd, 2018. First item on the agenda is we are going to have to amend the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add item number 7D1, 7D2, and 7D3.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so now we actually have to approve the amended agenda.
Make a motion to approve of the amended meeting agenda.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Okay, our first, our next item is presentations. I'm not sure, Ms. Satterley, do you have some recognitions? Okay.
Good evening. I only have two young people to recognize tonight. I felt they needed their day of recognition. These students performed at the state STLP competition, which is a Student Technology Leadership Program, and they both placed in their categories, and they didn't get to stay for the award ceremony or anything, so I wanted to recognize them tonight. And I only see one of them here, but Carly Villanueva is in the 8th grade, and she placed first place in the entire state in Art on Demand, which is Photoshop and things like that. And I don't see her, but I do see my second one, Hank Helmers. There he is. And Hank placed second place in website coding, and Hank is only a 7th grader. And he placed second place in the state in writing his own code for websites. So, congratulations, Hank. Good evening. Most principals will tell you that the Governor Scholars Program and Governor School for the Arts Program, Selection Day is a bittersweet day, because on that day we get to make a lot of dreams come true, and then we have to break the hearts of some of those that don't get accepted. But this year was exceptionally well for Danville High School, because we got to make a lot of dreams come true, because everybody got accepted. So I wanted to recognize those students tonight. We're extremely proud of them. The bad thing about it is we're on intercession this week, and most of them are off campus, and they're gone. So unfortunately, a lot of them aren't here tonight. But I still want to recognize them, and if they're hiding somewhere in here, I don't see them. Grace Crawford, and she's not with us. Evie Kincaid. Rachel Matherly, and she is here. Come on up. Emma Merriman, she was on a college visit out of town today. Sarah Schlockoff, I think she's here. Morgan Vest, most of these are visiting colleges right now, surprisingly enough. Peyton Young, Claire Streisick.
She's out of tennis now.
Yes, she is. Thank you. And Lena Morales was accepted to Governor School for the Arts, and I think she was gone today as well. And Mr. Barrett Meeks is with us tonight.
Congrats, guys. Thank you. Very good.
It's like 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
All right, do we have any of the elementary schools have recognitions this evening? No? I'm going to go back up, sorry, to board member comments that I just skipped. I will say that Mr. McCowan is not able to join us tonight as he is under the weather, and Dr. Look is not here as well as he is out of town, so thank you to Mr. Cornett for sitting here and filling in for him this evening. So, if anybody else had comments to share.
I do. About Dr. Look is actually at the University of Arkansas representing our school district at a pretty important conference. He's one of the featured speakers to talk about teacher retention at schools possibly that are considered as troubled schools. So he's imparting his knowledge there to help the Arkansas situation to find and retain their teachers. So I'm proud of him for that, and also representing our district. Went to 2 functions which were a blast. The abuse of kids. They had a wonderful function Friday night. It wasn't good, phrase it that way. It was a little weird, but anyhow, kidding. It was so well done between our family resource centers. Beautiful crowd. It was at the Methodist Church, and it was all outside. Wonderful event, absolutely, and a lot of community partners. So it really made a huge difference. And then Friday night, also the same day, that evening, Jenny Rogers had their celebration of the folks that have attended, and it was really interesting to hear the stories of people that went to Jenny Rogers trying to figure out where their classroom is, and also the bench. There was a bench that sat there in the hall, and if you were on that bench, you were in trouble. And so they can't find the bench, but somebody was willing to buy the bench. So, but anyways, I have to say kudos to the staff at Jenny Rogers. It was wonderfully done and orchestrated. Thank you, Robin, for that. It was just the folks coming in, the folks coming out. Some were going in with smiles, and some came out with tears. But it was a great event, and it was a privilege to be there.
All right, we will move on. The next item on the agenda is personnel notifications. I think that is just attached for our review. If there's any questions, we can let Dr. Look know. All right, number 6, minutes of the previous meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes of 3/12/18 and 3/19/18 as presented.
Second. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. All right, moving on to reports. Mr. Dean is not here, so we will just recognize that at our work session last Monday, both the financial statements and the payment of invoices were reviewed at that time, and we can just make motions for approval unless anyone has anything to add or any questions.
I make a motion for the approval of the financial report as submitted and reviewed at the work session.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
And on the payment of invoices, any questions?
I make a motion for the approval of the payment of invoices totaling $683,561.73 as presented at the work session.
Second. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. All right, moving on down to 7C is auditor approval for the is that supposed to be 18-19? Oh, it is? So it is supposed to be 17-18?
Yes.
It is, okay.
That's right.
Okay. Auditor approval for the 2017-18 school year.
I know he was shopping these, do we know if
There, he did have the motion, I think, to stay with the one that we have been using based on.
Okay.
We had 2 bids that are exactly the same dollar amount, $15,000. And we've used Stiles Carter and Associates out of E-Town for several years now. And Mr. Dean made it know that since they're used to our district and we're used to them, that he would recommend that we go with those folks.
I'll make a motion for the approval to keep the current auditor, Stiles, Carter and Associates, for the 2017-18 school year at the price of $15,000.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that motion passes. Okay, and moving on to an area that we have added on is the HVAC system. First thing is the owner-architect agreement.
Good evening. This is one that came up quickly. There is a unit at Bait that's failing, and so the first direction was to make sure that that unit got replaced, but then the district staff gave us a budget of just at $1 million and said whatever we can accomplish to get new systems in place for that amount of money, that's what we should try to do. So the scope of the project that's been proposed, and we're calling it a phase 1 project, is that we will remove 3 existing rooftop HVAC units and replace with a new zoned VAV system. What that means is that there will be still rooftop units, but for tighter individual space control, there'll be units, there'll be variable air volume boxes down in the school that can control different sections of the school in a more detailed way or a more specific way. It will also include an update of the building automation system, so you'll have better control across the school. Our office, Studio Creamer, is really just overseeing it for the engineers. It's primarily an engineering project, but we'll be doing some cleanup after. It's really some ceiling replacement and things like that to clean up after the HVAC job. So what's on your agenda is first the contract for our work, and then the approval of the BG2, which is a description of the work that we'll send to the Department of Education, the BG3, which is our final statement of probable cost, and a revision of the BG1 to match the BG3. And I'll describe a little bit of why that changed. When we originally started the project, we were working with a vendor who thought they could replace all of the units on the school very simply just by taking off the ones that were there and replacing them. And those units ended up not being a solution that was going to work. So the project got a little bit more complicated. That's why we're able to only do half of it right now. So we have adjusted the budget. The engineers had a little bit more work, so their fee went up, but the overall budget came down slightly. So that's what's reflected in the revised BG1.
And if I can add to that a little bit, we talked about doing the retrofit with the carrier units, but we found out that the carrier units that we could put brand new ones in the same place, but the energy efficiency is as bad as what we have now there. You can't get really good efficient energy out of the zone units. So it was like at 80, and that's terrible. It would have been cheaper, but costlier in the long run.
Yeah, the VAV box system will give you a lot better control over everything in the building, so, and keep comfort levels better. And then the final item, the D3 item, is, as I said, it came pretty quickly. We have gone ahead and gotten the engineering done. The construction documents are ready to go to the Department of Education, so we're asking for approval of the construction documents as well.
Steve, in anticipation, when will the project start and how long do you think it'll take to conclude?
Well, the goal is that it gets done this summer. We're going to, it'll run fairly parallel to the Hogsett bid schedule. Okay. I think that in the documents we have it on the street May 22nd, assuming our approval at KDE goes smoothly, which should have a contractor in place in June. The biggest worry we have is not about the contractor's work. Installing the units and doing the work inside the building is not going to be the thing that takes the time. It's the ordering of the equipment. So if we have any big order, or any big worry, it's the lead time for the equipment order. So that's what we're trying to get it on the street as quickly as we can.
So what units are we using? Are we using train, or are we using?
We are not using train. You may know this without me looking. Do you know
Carrier.
Is it carrier units? I have the documents here.
Both projects are kind of muddled in the head.
Is it carrier or?
Carrier's what we have there now, but I don't know if we specified it after we changed.
This is just air.
I'm pretty sure you said, let's see. One thing that will have to happen is that there will be 3 manufacturers. That's the way Kentucky procurement code works. So 3 will be listed. I might need to tell you after the meeting.
That's okay. I just was wondering. If you knew
3
off the top of your head.
manufacturers will be listed. We always have an option to say there is a preferred manufacturer. What that tends to do, though, is reduce competition, and it's not what the Department of Education would encourage. So we'll probably go out with 3.
Okay.
But it will have been designed around somebody, and I'll let you know that.
So this is only half, is that right?
This is half. So the way they're going to set, the way the documents are set up is there's 7 units in the main part of the building. This will cover 3 of those units, and they're going to include a 4th as an alternate, so that if the bidding comes in competitive, if it comes in well, that you could go ahead and get the 4th one, and that's what would be covered. So it really depends on the bidding whether you get 3 or 4. But they've had to do a lot of the design work for the phase 2 just in order for phase 1 to work from an engineering standpoint. So they'll be well positioned to get the second half, but couldn't be accommodated in this budget.
What are the ages of current units now, and how long should these proposed? I mean, I just was curious how long they would have these.
Carrier units that are there right now,
Or, I mean, but how long have we had them?
20 years.
That renovation was in the 90s.
And all of them are the same age, all 7 units is, yeah.
There's a new compressor here and there, about 20,000 pop.
Each one of these for parts.
There are also 2 rooftop units serving the gym and 1 at the music area. The music area was built new in the 90s, and that one, I guess, is
One of those is a train.
less of a concern, but the gym is probably going to be due at some point as well.
Okay.
And this is what we had put into our budget earlier, like we had said it was, I believe, we had it.
Yes, this is being funded with offset.
Right, yeah, but I mean, we had this number in.
We stuck with the number.
Right.
All right, so we do need to go through each one of these for approval. Are there any other questions before we? Okay, so we'll go back to the owner-architect agreement.
I make a motion for the approval of owner-architect agreement as submitted.
Second.
All those in favor?
Uh,
All right. 72 is the approval of BG2, BG3, and the revised BG1.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And then 73, the construction documents for KDE authorization to bid.
I make a motion for the approval of the construction documents for KDE authorization to bid as submitted.
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you very much.
I'll leave these with Christie
Okay.
so you guys have access to them.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is the 2018-19 Certified Evaluation Plan.
I'm sure you all are getting tired of seeing this as I am working on it, but due to some discrepancies and some different communications we had gotten from KDE, we have had to go back to the CEP, the 50/50 team has, and myself in our office, and they have asked us to make some revisions, not in substance, but in format. And as you all may have walked through that in your electronic copy, It was mainly in terms of separating out each of the certified groups within of the plan, whether it be classroom teachers, and then there would be principals and assistant principals in the central office. And then we have what used to be called the OPGS, that may be the speech pass and the school psychologist. And they've asked us to take it from around 40 pages to over 60 just by doing that. And so we spent a lot of time typing and copying and pasting and pulling from that. So 50-50, they were totally understood that, the teachers especially were, because, again, nothing in terms of forms or policies or procedures changed with what happens in terms of pre-observations, the actual summatives, how many are done, etc. And so we're asking the board to do from the 50-50 team is simply approve this document as, I am hoping, our final one. And then we actually submit this to the KDE for a hopefully final approval. Okay,
So substance was not changed.
There was no
It was
substance
strictly format.
it was
numbers.
the semantics were taken care of with the one that was 3 times ago, and then there were some format that they quote asked us to change, and then this one, it was to separate out. I finally asked for 1 consultant instead of 3 that I was working with, and she was very helpful. And that was kind of where we are. So a little bit frustrating.
Thank you for your patience.
It's all good. So
So I make a motion that we accept the 2018, 2019 certified evaluation plan as submitted.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you, Wes.
It's great.
I read it.
All right, moving on to the elementary transition. First is the Hogsett and Tolliver update. Shows.
our plan with this, I think, is that the whole team is going to come up and together,
Okay.
and they will present what they have to do, and then there'll be some questions. I think with the board, we may want to pass the mic around and as you all do your presentations, and then we'll have some discussion with our transition leadership team and the board.
Okay. Sounds good. All right.
So as far as the transition team goes, one of the main concerns for, I know, the staff at Hogsett was the actual physical moving of materials. And so that has been answered by a letter with deadlines. I'm not sure if that was shared with the board, but so all staff received a letter, probably not this past Friday, but the Friday before, that really outlined the actual move, like physically what's going to happen at each building, and then talked about the move of their materials, the classroom materials, and then also what furniture, because some furniture is going to stay put as much as possible, but the biggest thing is probably the redistribution of instructional materials. So I feel like teachers have a better understanding of that process. They have deadlines and dates to go by, and then we have actually received boxes and tape and tape dispensers. So the tricky part is that we know that this is all kind of on our minds, the move, but we can't forget that we still have the remainder of this year to finish. And that's truly the trickiest part. So mostly what we've been trying to do is get information out to the teachers as much as we could, with the message that, but we're still finishing the school year.
There was deadlines in that, incremental deadlines,
So the big piece on that is we want them out of there on closing day, keys turned in, enjoy their summer for 6 weeks, and they will get their classroom issued with all their materials back in middle of July. So plenty of time. So that gives them 6 weeks to do the things that they need to do to get refreshed for the following year, but that gives us our 6 weeks to get the schools ready.
Because boxing up, packing up is really only a third of the equation. The rest of that is, you know, moving it from one building to the next, or what's staying, or what's going to storage. And so we wanted to build in time for the custodians, or, you know, the maintenance crew to make the actual physical move of the materials. So.
Work has also begun on dividing the libraries and purging those things and consolidating district materials, classroom materials. Each one of us has the vision of things that are going to go to the Main Street campus, or going to go to Tolliver. And then things that, you know, need to be removed. They're surplus items. Because we have a lot of new furniture.
The next piece, I mean, do you all have any questions about that? So the next piece of the puzzle that we've kind of met and kind of formulated a plan is our registration plan, because we understand that this year, more than any, families are very concerned about the process of registration, and so we are in the process of getting that information out to the public, and we have a plan in place with registration days and opportunities for families to, oh, okay. Is that for us or yeah, I've got one here. I've got one here.
Maybe.
There's four.
Okay. So we do have plans for that, and publicity will take place in a lot of different ways, but we know that families will have lots of questions, and we're well on our way of having very concrete answers for them.
We've each agreed to have an early registration before school is out, or right at the end of school this year, to try to get some numbers and head start on enrollment. And then Tolliver will have 2 dates, July 31st and August 7th, and then an open house on August 10th.
And then Hogshead's dates are on that sheet that you have, but our kindergarten registration is August 2nd, and then our first grade registration is July 26th. And then we also will have opportunities to register before school is out. And one of the things that we currently recognize is that we need to assist families. Like, I'm going to help assist families with registration if they've got students that are going to Tolliver, and same thing, you know, Ms. Kelly is going to help assist. You know, they may currently be enrolled at Tolliver, but might have a younger student in their family, and she'll help with that as well.
Tolliver also has an orientation day scheduled for May 21st for all of the current 1st through 4th graders. We'll come over, meet the administrative team, see some short video clips from the related arts teachers, the librarian and Spanish teachers, just some key players that all students will have access to. And then we'll take tours throughout the building so that they get to see the new space. It probably won't be that exciting for Tolliver students, but juniors, Hogshead kiddos, I think will really enjoy that day. So we have that planned.
What day did you say that was?
May 21st.
Okay, so.
Well, and I guess the only other, if you have questions along the way, please feel free to ask. But the other, I know one of the questions that you had asked of the principals was type of transition meetings for staff coming together. So the Hogshead primary teachers have a meet and greet. I think I sent you all an invitation. We have a meet and greet at the Community Arts Center at the end of the month. And we're looking forward to just a casual time for people to put names with faces. I'm hoping to be able to have some renderings of the drawings as soon as that gets approved. We can share that with the staff. I know we both have already started to work with our leadership teams, our administrative teams for the new school, and I know how excited we both are about the new teams. So.
Yes, I've met with grade levels in particular already as well. And then here in a couple of weeks, we'll have a whole school come get together, sort of like a faculty meeting, but it's really just introduce yourself, make sure everybody at least has a name with a face. And then at that time, we will plan some other things throughout the summer and right before school starts on those planning days.
I do want to tell you all that it was interesting at Jenny Rogers when I was there. Excuse me. How can I say? The teachers are now excited. It's kind of like the morning period is now over, you know, and they're realizing the move's going to happen, and there's a lot of excitement going on. And I'm hearing the same thing with Tolliver's staff, you know, the joining and the leaving and all like that. So I think transition will work out well. It was interesting talking to about 3 students that are going to be at Tolliver, and their biggest thing is where's the cafeteria, the playground, and just show me my classroom. So the kids are really resilient, obviously, and they're very excited too. So we just got to get everybody on the same level. And it was very enjoyable talking to the parents and some of the grandparents. It was quite interesting, their response to everything too. So it'll be well done, I know.
Also part of our transition plan, Mr. James Atkins is coming in 2 days a week, and he is serving as a principal one day at Hogsett, one day at Jenny Rogers, as the transition is taking place. So Ms. Kelly and Mr. Labrazo can go and spend time in their new building for 18-19, and so he's agreed to do that, and they're enjoying that time and meeting or familiarizing themselves with their new school, their new settings, and as a part of the plan as well, we're doing another part of the plan is that Dr. Green and I were just talking one day at Hogsett about our Latino community. How can we better serve them? How can we make them feel more at ease during the transition? And so we are having a separate night just for our families in that community. We're going to feed them. Local restaurants going to cater a meal for them, and we're going to pay for that. We've got some. I've ordered probably 500 bilingual books that are called Read With Me books, where the parents can read with their children in both Spanish and English. And we're going to give them backpacks that evening for the summer. There's what I call summer slide, where many times, especially our students that struggle with the English language, can really sometimes lose where they've done. So we're really excited about that part of the transition as well. So there's a lot of parts to this as we do transition, and the team has worked very, very hard at this, and it's been a great group effort, and so we're excited about that. Just 2 more parts to our transition plan that we're doing. That is May 15th. If any of our board members want to come and visit, the principals are going to speak. We're going to have Dr. Green there. We're going to have our migrant group there. We're going to have our Spanish teachers there. Ms. also going to be there. We've got a lot of things planned just to make them feel, again, part and special, and if they have any questions. And it'll be both in Spanish and English.
So where's that going to be?
That's going to be at Hogsett. We're going to do that at Hogsett. That's where primarily our families are currently, and then of course that'll change. But and our families have been appreciative when we went to them.
I know there was a question about the Admirals Academy. Right now, the Admiral Academy will be at Tolliver. We think that facility is best suited to meet those needs. Families will be able to register during their regular registrations for school. There will be some information about the Admirals Academy then. If our numbers so prove that we need an additional room at Hogsett on the Main Street campus, we will have a staff member or 2 over there so that the little ones don't have to be bused, that they can actually stay there. But we gotta wait and see what the numbers are.
How many, if they were just at Tolliver, about how many kids are we talking about?
Right now, we average 25 to 30 a day. There's probably 45 total enrollment. You know, if we pick up another 10, 12, 15 kids, we would do that.
Okay. But say of that 25 or 30, some of those are from
Our in kindergarten, first grade right now.
you will bus it over,
Yes.
just like you do.
And the idea also with Admiral Academy has to do with resources. Just like we're going 2 through 5 and pre-K through first, if we can serve the students in one location, you know, that doesn't spread our resources thin, opportunities, we're able to focus our opportunities in one location. So, as Ms. Kelly said, you know, we will always look to see if in the future, if the numbers warrant a second Admiral Academy, which would be wonderful because that's a money generating or fund generating entity, but, you know, we would look into that.
There was a question around start and end times. As we've looked at right now, logistically, we see no changes to the current start and end times. And actually, it actually helps us out with the 2 campuses as they are, being able to stage buses to actually have the same start and end times.
I think that's a lot of the main questions I get asked is when, you know, the start times and if they have kids at different schools, like, I mean, and when they'll know their bus. I mean, that's what parents at that age, they get anxious about logistics, so.
We're fine tuning that up with the system that we bought this past summer. But we feel confident that they'll pretty much be riding the same school buses for the most part. I mean, there'll be some changes, pretty much the same kind of routes is the plan. And just, you know, the idea would be students who are in the current hogs at Jenny Rogers area, those buses will be staged at Tolliver and vice versa.
But there'll be like mixed elementary buses as far as like there won't be like you know,
That's
it didn't
correct.
seem effective,
On the
but you
smaller
know, some
That's
districts do that with a little, you know, so.
Preschools still separate.
Right.
It'll be separate.
You know, the idea is that we service our middle school students and high school students throughout the district, and it's the same process that we would apply to Hogsett and Tolliver. So logistically, it could run that way.
I'm going to invite Ms. Bettleton to come up here and talk to you about our rollout plan for other information to parents.
So just as teachers have questions about moving, parents have a lot of questions about the upcoming school year and what it will look like. So one of the things that we're going to roll out this week is a weekly video series. It's going to go on for at least 6 weeks. They will be 3 minutes in length, and they will be posted on Facebook and YouTube for parents to view and listen to answers to questions that they direct to the district. Our first video is going to roll out this Friday, featuring these 3 here. Get to be the stars of it. And that video is just going to explain the series and how parents can actually submit a question that they have, whether their child is going to Mary G. Hogsett Primary next year, or whether they're going to N.L. Tolliver Intermediate next year. Additionally, outside of the principals, we would like to get our guidance counselors for each school out in front of parents, so they will field some questions that we distribute. Obviously, we won't be able to answer every single question within that 3-minute window. So what we'll do is we'll assess the questions we get, and the ones that are big questions or we see them a lot, we'll address those in the video, and then we'll address them as a Q&A in text so that everyone gets theirs answered. Just may not be in the video format. They are going to be able to submit their questions on a Google form that's going to be on our website and available on our social media channels. So they can submit it any day, time of night that they want to, and then based upon when they submit their question is when it'll appear in that video. So, and that's really pretty much it at this point with that. It's going to start the Friday the 27th. We're definitely going through June 1st, which gives us 6 full videos. After June 1st, we'll evaluate the amount of questions that are coming in. If people still haven't gotten all their questions answered, or we're getting a high volume, we'll continue to do it. We just may have to adjust the frequency. If they trickle in much slower, we may have to go every 2 weeks or something like that. We will send this information out to, in our school newsletters, the all calls that are already going out. We'll remind parents that if they have a question, they can submit it, and this is where they need to submit it. Any questions about the video series?
That's correct.
I think that's great, yeah.
Very detailed.
I'm going to comment, this is my first district where we've had a full-time PR person, and I don't know how blessed we are to have Beth on what she does. And so, I'm thankful for that, and what she does is really amazing to help out and put the vision in place that our administrators and teachers and staff members do. So I want to thank you personally and what you do. So, great job.
I enjoy it, love being here. The other thing that may go hand in hand with this is with the renovations that are going to be starting in August with Mary G. Hogsett, we started developing some materials. We haven't pushed out a lot at this point. The last thing that we really pushed out was that we were relocating the kids from our Mary G. Hogsett Waveland campus, which is what we're calling it now, and then Jenny Rogers will be Main Street campus. But I wanted to take some time to kind of distribute the materials that we're working on that aren't finalized yet. As soon as bids are received and we're able to confirm some of the details, like I didn't want to put pictures up of playgrounds or the inside of buildings that may or may not work. And then you'll see this is just a material over what we look to do with a section on our website, basically outlines the kind of copy that we'll have, and then individual pages that we'll have that parents or future students or the community members can click on to find out more information. So you'll see there's an FAQ. Anything that we answer in our videos that pertains to Hogsett we'll put up there with questions and answers. We'd like to put pictures of our principals, assistant principals, a little staff directory that they can download so they don't have to go directly to the staff directory. Like to put a link to enrollment there, because that's probably going to be a place that people who don't have kids yet in the district may go to visit first to see that school. So that, along with the district map, those sort of things. So if you have any questions, when you go home and look at it, feel free to reach out to me.
It's great. I think it looks great. It's really good.
All right.
Any more questions?
I'm excited about it.
We've been working hard.
Thank you.
Yep.
We don't know yet, Mr. Steve, I've not heard that yet. Steve, so.
Okay. I guess we have
Write that down if you want to.
Submitted all the instructions. How long is that?
Next item under the elementary transition is the Tolliver Intermediate Playground.
In the packet, two options that we developed to finish up the playground conversation. One is that, you'll see option one. You'll have to be careful that you don't get confused when you look at option two, because there are 4 options in option 2 called option 1, 2, 3, and 4. But starting with option 1, that is the Briggs option, actually taking the alternate, number 7, from the construction project, where Briggs had already worked with a company from Virginia and had a package from Playwork. And is a company that they can't get materials from anymore, so they reworked, it's going to be Virginia, reworked the proposal with Burke Playground. And their proposal, you can see Griggs' proposal there, so it's putting in a major piece there, doing the site work, removing the mulch, but not the play equipment. for the edging. So it's around $78,000. The piece that you see for option one for the Burke is holds 84 kids, space for 84 kids. That's the major piece there. I'm not sure if that includes the swings or not. I'm not sure I see the swings on the proposal.
There's something on the front cover, but.
It says phase one and phase two. I'm not sure, I'm really not sure what phase one, phase two means on that. I don't know if the pricing is just for phase one. I think Eric just got this from Grace late this afternoon. So that's a question I'll need to figure out if we're interested in going that route. And the option twos are from Bluegrass Recreation, Ronnie Bottoms locally. He has actually 4 options in his option 2, with his prices ranging from 70 or 80 something thousand at 212,000, which, by the way, that's my favorite one. Of course, the most expensive one, but this is with him doing the site preparation, installation, taking out equipment that we aren't going to need in that space. Option one, if that's where you're at, on option one of option 2 is a piece that holds 97 students, so almost 100 kids can play on this, and that's just the one piece. There's another piece included, which is the Dragonfly Rider, which is for a couple of kids there. Then option 2 is a total of $75,900. It is a piece that holds 97 users. Also, it includes just the piece, just the one piece there. There are a couple of pieces at Tolliver that we can use with this, all of these actually. Then option 3 is $112,885. It holds 128 kids. It also has an infinity web. This piece and a couple of the pieces on the larger set piece in the center match a couple of the pieces that are at Tolliver right now. The 128 kids on the big piece, and the smaller piece is probably 20 to 30 kids. And then the final one is around 90,000. It is a structure that holds 116 kids. Along with that one, included a couple of the musical pieces, the concerto chimes and vibes. And of course, we can mix and match any of the smaller pieces. Any of that. And I think we just need to decide which option that we want to pursue.
So this play structure in both options is where it is now? Like, I mean, where?
You know, that's really not set in stone yet. It can be adjusted. But that's probably the best place.
It's just what's hard to say is that, you know, you look at the scale of these and this rendering, and then you try to see the site, you know, and I don't want, while I love to have all these options for our children, I also don't want to eat up all the space, because I know my 5th grader likes to play football and play, and
Miss Kelly and I kind of walked the area back there. We also had a meeting on this past Thursday, construction meeting, and there was originally to be a fence at the back edge of the music room area there.
right.
So we're going to move it all the way to the front edge of the building, which
Okay.
opens up the trees and the green space.
Kind of to where the edge of where the playground used, where it was temporarily.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that area will
Okay.
be opened up for things like that. The blacktop will be removed across the back So all of that looks to be green space at the time, unless we choose to move this back a little. Then you have the area by the park, by the bus loop,
Okay,
which will also be green. The bus loop itself will be gated off, and there will be there are 2 basketball goals there, but there can also be Foursquare and hopscotch and some other things painted on there, and that's also a play area because it is gated off. So we talked about having room for soccer and football, basketball, tag.
Ms. Baker, you had a chance to look at these? Or-
Yes, I like options 3 and 4 and that second one for sure. I would definitely like to see some swings on our playground. Options 3 and 4 didn't include swings, I would like to see that. If some of the smaller pieces of equipment that are currently there now are gonna remain, I'm not sure we need some of those other smaller ones. We might be able to get away with that and then have swings instead.
Sure.
I do think, especially for the older kids, that the green space, the soccer field is very popular. And we have to constantly move our goals around to Jenny Rogers because they wear it out in front of them. I would not be opposed to having some artificial turf back there so that goals can stay where they need to and that we don't have to worry about moving them around and cutting into the football field or the kickball field or whatever. That we should be able to have several different areas within our playground. I'd also love to see a couple more basketball goals.
That's what I was wondering if, I mean, these all seem to be concentrated over one really large structure, whether it'd be better to spread them out, or I don't know.
I would say that just what we're doing here is not the end all.
Oh, yeah, this
Would be considered phase 1. The expectation, I would think, of most of our community and our kids and parents would be a large structure like that. That's sort of the expectation of what the majority of playgrounds have.
I also really think it's important to have a water fountain out there, which we do not have.
And I also liked Mr. Moore's suggestion of the ADA compliant swings. I think that's important. And those are costly too, so they need to be considered in the budget. So I don't know where we go from here. I mean, having just seen this, it's hard to, and really, it's more their decision, but I guess we just need to, we were at 200,000 with our contingency budget. I mean, we had originally budgeted in pencil 75,000 to do something like this, but.
79.5 as an alternate.
Right.
I don't know what's left completely of the contingency at this point, but there's still some other things we have to take care of.
That's what I was curious, like what
Yeah.
other things?
Are you ready to make a decision?
I don't think I am, having just seen this. I mean, I would
And I
almost,
know time is an issue because ordering these kind of things.
There's a 6-week lead time at the very least, and
So if we were
it's
able to
taken
just-
a while to get the quotes in and get the companies to work.
I guess I'd like to see though too, if, like options 3 and 4, I mean, they look very nice. They're obviously more expensive, but I mean, in order to get swings in that thing, I would almost like to see a layout of how all of that's
really
gonna fit
all I
together.
need from you guys is to, hey, yes, we're gonna go with bluegrass recreation, or we're gonna go with alternate. That's really all I need right now. We can do I can get them to do a little bit more specific on some of the equipment.
So I know that you had said the Burke was the one that Griggs had worked with. So if we go with bluegrass, then Griggs is completely out of the loop as far as doing.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not ready, I don't think, but bluegrass, I mean, would bluegrass be doing, I know Eric had talked at the last meeting about how much site work needs to be, and it's in their proposal. Is bluegrass saying, I see they say removal, but like, are they doing any site work to drainage and?
The way that he will do the playground will be the same as our other playgrounds are. They're raised bed playgrounds, so they're
Okay.
12 inches tall, and that provides the drainage.
And like bluegrass has bid, the proposal is to remove the existing equipment, where is that going?
If we decide to remove it, I haven't made a decision on that yet, but I think that it can really be worked into what's here too.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that old. I mean, besides the stuff that's not age appropriate, but I would kind of like to see it all laid out on a plan and gone back and work and see how we can work more swings and the grade. It's just hard to see, you know, just, I like the structures, they're interesting, but I'd like to see it all on a plan. I don't know, if we did it at our work session, would that give you enough time still? I mean, that's still.
I would think so, but, so I need a direction on,
I don't know that, I think my concern is I'm not sure even picking one or the other and still not knowing exactly, because know that you can really agree to go with one or the other when we don't know the actual cost, right? Because we're not gonna know the cost if we don't know if we're adding swings or.
we know basically what our budget is. I mean, that's, we can set our budget and say, this is where we are, this is what we wanna do with. Griggs would be fine with not adding this. I mean, they actually do this as a favor. My suggestion would be to go with our local person if possible. Percentage off that we're getting on this project is above and beyond. It's really good deal. We just work on all of our playgrounds and let them know.
Yeah, are these the people that move our playgrounds when we move them? Okay, that was also,
And do our mulch.
okay. So they would be also the ones maintaining it over time, okay.
So at this point, it's just a matter of, yes, we're going with this one versus this one. We're not locking ourselves
Not the
into
layout.
any decisions, layout, money, I mean, anything
Yeah,
like
I
that.
think Bluegrass would be fine. They work well and
Yes.
the crew knows them and all that. But I really would like to see a complete layout.
With swings.
With swings,
4 swings.
other equipment.
Where the green space will be compared
Yeah,
to the.
I just think
size
it's
of this.
important. I mean, it's a lot of money if you're gonna spend $150,000 on a playground. I think we need to really be, I'm just throwing out a number. But when you look at one structure possibly being $75,000, we got the rest to worry about too, so.
So with the workstation, I'll try to bring the whole visual look with more specific.
So do we need to make a motion then to accept that we're gonna, no?
I just need enough direction.
We're
That's
not
all.
spending any money.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
All right. Our next item on the agenda is our consent agenda.
I move we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, item number 10 is reserved for the public. We have a list of people that have asked to address the board. Again, I'll just remind you that you have 3 minutes. And that will start when you come up to the front and start speaking. First person on the list is Ms. Ross.
Good evening. I'm here tonight as part of the Concerned Citizens of Danville Independent School District. And recently, our group has reviewed over 5,300 emails requested from the Danville server accounts of the 3 board members who voted yes on the February 19th Board of Education motion to declare vacancy in the superintendent's position in the Danville School District effective July 1st, or January, July 1st, yes, I'm sorry. The email messages were requested as open records through the Danville Board of Education and facilitated by the board attorney. The messages included emails sent or received by the members during the time period of September 1st, 2017 through February 28th of 2018. The messages shown written communication and interaction between and among all 5 board members, the board attorney, the superintendent, staff members in the Danville district, parents, and others including family and friend members. The group found a number of issues in the large volume of messages for the requested time period. Research and analysis are still in process, but this report is representative of the preliminary findings in the discussions of the group. The findings are also substantiated by information learned from other means, such as observations, interviews with others close to the district, various other documents, and letters published in the newspaper. The level of passionate support for Dr. Look to continue as the superintendent of Danville Independent Schools is overwhelming when compared to the detractors in the total school community. This support for Dr. Look came from staff, active and retired, 2 former board members, and parents of the diverse Danville community, and it exceeds in very few by the trove of emails, messages, and others that have been received at the board office by telephone, email, or paper form that declare non-support for the superintendent's continuance. The number of speakers in favor of Dr. Look at both the January and February meetings were in double digits. In many cases, the individual speakers were representing large groups of supporters. The opposition to Dr. Look's point to some that the camp who do not wish to write or speak out of fear for their jobs. The facts reveal that this claim is invalid, and it is notable that one vote of no from one board member, to the member and majority who voted to declare a vacancy in the superintendent's position effective 7/1/2018. This report would not even be necessary tonight. There are hundreds of supporters, perhaps a few dozen vocal detractors, and one person, one vote change everything. In a group of 3 who represent the school district community and all the taxpayers who live in the district, and not one voted to reflect the will of the people. Thanks.
All right, next on the list is Debbie Bottoms.
This is the detractors. What did they know and when did they know it? Several people who are opposed to Superintendent Look continued in that position, have written letters to the editor, and others spoke at the 2019 board meeting to voice their opposition to him. Was it a coordinated effort when 4 letters to the editor from the group of detractors appeared in the same issue of the Advocate Messenger? Is it noteworthy that a small number of Dr. Look's detractors appeared to know something more and sooner than others? One parent employee sent a short message to only one board member, Chair Paige Matthews, on 1/21/2018, to declare that he supported a change in direction for the superintendent's position, and commented that she could feel free to forward his message to the other board members, and she did just that. However, there was no indication that she responded directly to the parent to thank him for his input, or to let him know that no discussion about the superintendent's contract had been discussed. In another email on 1/4/2018, the former board chair, Lonnie Harp, sent a letter to just one member of the board, Lori Finke, and encouraged her to vote to part ways with Dr. Look when the issue came up, even though it didn't happen for another 46 days. There is evidence of considerable internal communication of small messages between and among only 2 to 3 board members. It is significant to note that the overwhelming number of messages in this category involved the 3 members who voted in favor of the 2019 motion to declare the vacancy in the superintendent's position. Some messages were board business items that excluded the other 2 board members. However, 2 of the members used their statements such as these in regard to the superintendent. Why is he, Dr. Look, making this so difficult? And I have asked Vince if we can hear from Keith in executive session this Thursday. I have a lot of questions, when in reality he made multiple offers to help the board members in understanding the number and the variety of ways that test scores and accountability are released. Where are they housed and how to navigate sites? I am so tired that the superintendent is getting credit for this when he was cited along with the board as being willing to meet with various groups to facilitate the name of Bate Middle School to John W. Bate Middle School.
Next is Lisa Grimes.
This is the deceptive genesis of the 2019 board agenda item, discussion of the superintendent contract. The email findings, conversation, and other sources revealed that the board chair and vice chair normally meet with the superintendent and plan the monthly work session and regular session on Wednesday preceding the work session date. For the month of February, that planning session was conducted on 2/7 and the work session on 2/12 at Hogsett. Following the work session, there was communication among the board members and finalizing the 2019 agenda for the regular meeting via email. The superintendent agreed to the arrangement, and several email messages between the board members and the superintendent were exchanged in which items were stricken, postponed to a later date, or added. On 2/15, the superintendent called for the last changes to be made to the board agenda. Board Chair Paige Matthews responded that there would be an additional agenda item for 2019, that she was waiting for wording from Vince, board attorney. That item on the agenda was discussion of superintendent's contract. That later turned out to be a misleading title for the actual motion made to declare a vacancy for the position of superintendent. When the final agenda was posted, it sent an alarm to the Danville community that perhaps this was the time people realized that rumors about the non-renewal of the superintendent's contract might become fact. This is the story of the 2019 meeting of the Board of Education. On Monday, 2/19, the regular board meeting was to take place here in the flex room at 6 p.m. The board chair sent an email at 1:17 p.m. to the board members telling them that tonight will be difficult, and added that she would begin the discussion at the point on the agenda that discussion on the superintendent's contract was listed, and everyone, board members, would be able to speak, and then she would call for a roll call vote on a matter she did not disclose in emails prior to that time. There was also communication from one board member to only 2 others regarding how appreciative she was of their help, advice, and guidance since she became a board member. It is not mere coincidence that these were the 3 who voted in the majority. The 2019 board meeting began at 6 p.m. The speaker signed up, addressed the board meeting reserved for the public. The routine agenda went quickly and was completed in just under 2 hours.
Time, 3 minutes is up. Thank you. Next person on the agenda is Elaine Wilson-Reddy.
Thank you. The issue that I'm going to discuss is perhaps some outside influence in how the decision was made to not renew or not continue Dr. Look's contract. On 9/28/2017, Ms. Rhonda Harmon, who is the Executive Director of the Kentucky Association of School Councils, provided additional 2006-17 state assessment accountability for the Danville schools. It isn't clear if she sent this unsolicited or if it was requested. This was sent by email to 3 board members. She construed the data in the most negative light, saying that the distinguished label is actually, she construed it contrary to the way the KDE actually released the guidelines.
The appearance of these emails is that someone, whether it be Ms. Harmon or the board members, possibly were attempting to spin the hard-earned distinguished rating into something that wasn't earned or deserved, or perhaps that improvement might have actually occurred under Dr. Look's leadership. There was also persistent pressure from board chair to the Office of Education Accountability, the OEA, to release its report of 7 allegations against Dr. Look, including one dating back to 2015. She sent 5 emails to OEA and or the Legislative Research Commission. One in May of 2017, June 2017, August 2017, September 2017, and then one was sent on February the 12th, 2018, which was a week before she voted to not continue Dr. Look's contract. While this may have been just having some research, the looks of this appear as if she was trying to find information to help bolster the reasoning for her to not vote to continue Dr. Look's contract. Even though that may not be why, the appearance of this is not good, and the lack of transparency and knowing what all went on behind the scenes really, I think, does a disservice to the community in being able to trust our board with our school district and our children. Thank you.
Next person is Diana Devine.
Good evening. I'll speak on that some board members share critical information with other family members, friends, and others outside the board, and use that email communication and other means to attack those who might disagree with their action regarding the superintendent's status. When challenged for her vote by a school employee after the 3-2 vote on February 19th of this year, the board chair, Paige Matthews, responded, "You do not even live in the school district. You also sent emails to at least 2 other school employees who joined 100+ individuals signing a letter from the concerned citizens of Danville Independent School District to the board members chastising them for signing it. This constitutes a reckless use of email within the district." In response to a letter from a district employee, the chair forwarded the email letter to only Ms. Finke, Ms. Matterly, and Vince Pennington, saying, "I am probably going to regret this, but I am going to try to meet with him ostensibly to clarify some of his remarks, as well as I am tired of giving Keith credit for the whole bait thing." The employee's email letter was also forwarded seniorly to Kate Anderson with the message, "This infuriates me." The third forward was to Gridiron 52 with instructions to print this. No other board members were included in any of the 3 instances of this forwarded message. Finally, Ms. Finke forwarded the same original email to her mother, Jane Thompson. On February 20th of this year, the board chair received a second email from the same employee, which she promptly forwarded to only Ms. Finke, Ms. Matherly, and Mr. Pennington, in which she stated, "I am forwarding to show how hateful he is being." A review of the email showed that the writer contrasted the speakers who were for and against Dr. Look. He expressed disappointment in the fact that every speaker who came to the microphone and voiced opposition to Dr. Look on February the 19th of this year trashed the Danville schools without so much as a word of defense from the chair or any other board member. Let's talk about the inner circle. There is strong evidence that people outside and inside the school district were using various means to create and communicate false narratives about the Danville School District and Superintendent Dr. Keith Look. This group has a hierarchy that is unmistakable. The level of involvement from these individuals and groups form a series of concentric circles, with the innermost circle being most influential, and those on the outer circles providing help and support to those in the inner circle. There's more to come on these issues. Thank you.
Caldwell.
Thank you. I'm going to speak to micromanagement by the board, both through examples of activities and communication. Remembering that we reviewed 5,300 plus emails, this is just a snapshot of what we found, both through emails and observations at meetings. At the March 12th work session at Tolliver, the Board of Education heard a non-binding resolution draft on school safety written by Superintendent Look. Some members of the board challenged the wording of the resolution and then presented a revised copy as their own when approving it at the March 19th meeting, while failing to mention or thank Dr. Look for his work. That's number one. Number two, there's an old proverb that says, vision without action is a daydream, action without vision is a nightmare. The board does not currently have a strategic plan and did not have one in 15-16 when Dr. Look initiated the process. With the representative committee, planning was underway. Multiple meetings conducted with the committee over a series of months. The project was summarily canceled by the former board chair, Lonnie Harp, and a majority of the board in July 2016 for reasons that are unknown. Months of meetings and hard work were wasted by that decision. In the fall of 2017, Ms. Finke, our newest board member, seeing the value of strategic planning, tried to revive that process without success. Number three, on numerous occasions, one or more board member on various school matters did not respond or flat out rejected Dr. Look's numerous offers of assistance to help them understand the conversation. But rather than accept or flat out reject the comments, Dr. Look is making things difficult or just total ignoring of his offer to support you and to guide you and educate you on those matters. I have several more here of examples that continue, but I know you're going to call time on me, so I'm going to move directly to my close. Tonight's presentation has not been all-inclusive of the findings and implications of the email page review of the board member communication. As a group of concerned citizens, we believe it is important for the public to hear and hold board members accountable to carry out their duties with professionalism and respect in accordance with the adopted code of conduct by this board and within the scope of your job duties. When given the same professionalism and respect, it will be returned to you as board members in kind. This is more information to come from our next speaker and the group in the coming weeks. Thank you.
Chuck Stoller.
Good evening. I come on behalf of the concerned citizens of the Danville Independent School District. Basically, my role is to try to help you all connect the dots. On February 19th of 2018, the board agenda for the Danville Board of Education reflected an item called Discussion of the Superintendent Contract. Board members Paige Matthews, Susan Matherly, and Lori Finke showed up at the meeting with prepared scripts to explain their majority vote to not renew the contract. Board members Steve Becker and Troy McCowan did not have prepared statements and lament the motion before they vote on the minority against declaring a vacancy for the position of superintendent. Board members in the majority voted shared information with spouses and family members as evident by public comments as a basis for their vote, but are unwilling and unable to do so publicly. During his time as board chair, Lonnie Napier led an unsuccessful effort to terminate the superintendent's contract. On January 4th, 2018, Lonnie Harp sent an email to one of the board members, established his continued overt efforts to manipulate the board regarding the superintendent's future by attempting to influence and justify a yes vote from one board member to create a vacancy in the superintendent's position. This email stated that a wider Danville community trusts the board and will quickly accept a decision you make. Mr. Harp implies in the email exchange that there are dozens of people in the community who have been and would be stalwart advocates and generous patrons of the district, but have become empathetic because about being involved because of their dislike for the superintendent. Mr. Hart stated in this email that the current board is being treated with indifference and disdain. Then, on February 19th, 2018, Rhonda Harmon, the spouse of Mr. Hart, at 4:43 p.m., sent an email to say, I appreciate everything that you have done to endure, I appreciate everything you've had to endure as a board member, and I hope that you will soon have an improved experience. She writes, I have no idea what's going to go down tonight, and then references to attach assessment accountability files that are not favorable to the Danville schools, and says our family will be there tonight to support those of you with the best interest of the district and the future. Thank you. Actually, I have 5 more seconds.
No, okay, put the time here, thank you. Mr. Kaywood.
Good evening. My subject's going to be just a little bit different, and I'll be here just so that you all know. I'm very concerned about the active shooter situation in schools, and I wanted you to know that Emergency Service Director Mike Wilder is having meetings, and that is being worked on. And I hope that you all as a board will keep an open mind to recommendations that will be coming down. It's not an easy situation, and it will take time, and there's a lot of research being done, but that is going on, and as a board, I'm not too sure that you all were aware of that. So, and you've probably had discussions. If you haven't, I'm surprised because your phones should be ringing off the hook, apparently, because we all need to be concerned. I don't know you all are concerned. I still have some time left, and I would like to turn my time back over to Mr. Stallard so that he can finish his remarks. Thank you all.
It is the position of the concerned citizens for the Danville Independent School District that we have an inaccurate, misleading, and blatantly false narrative brought forth by those who dislike, distrust, and disrespect Superintendent Keith Look, a man who by his accomplishments and leadership deserves none of this, and certainly not the lack of support from the Board of Education, who voted to create a vacancy in his position as superintendent. Further, we believe that it is incumbent upon the entire board to correct this unconscionable wrong decision by rescinding the the February 19th decision and grant Dr. Look a 4-year contract. Thank you.
All right, that is all I have at this time reserved for the public. The next item on the agenda is an executive session.
I'll make a motion to enter into executive session in accordance with KRS 61.810(1)(f) for discussions that might lead to discipline or dismissal of an employee.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. 5-minute break.